I think the biggest barrier when it comes to addressable creative and addressability in media has always been, and the reason we are only at 2% of addressable media being creatively addressed is because brands have found it very difficult from a production, from an operation perspective, from an optimization perspective, to do it themselves. It has been not only difficult from a process perspective, it has also been difficult from a cost perspective back in the day. Today, technology and data enables that in a much quicker, easier, more efficient way. So there are two areas where we rely a lot on technology, almost from an end-to-end process. One is the production of the creative, because today these systems are connected to data and insights, allowing you to create different versions based on the insights for different audiences. That is number one. Being able to then produce that creative in many versions connected to those insights, that is another area which technology like WPP Open, Flash Talking, and all those platforms help us with. And then lastly, it's the optimization of that media. Once we connect those platforms and systems and send out those messages, how do we know it's working or not? And there are so many variations within those messages, whether it's the right color, do we have people in it, how much of the product should be seen. All those aspects get even more complex when you add the different audience variations, because Andy, for you, something might work from a messaging perspective, but for me, it might be very different. So addressing our different needs in combination with all those creative variables becomes difficult for humans to manually start to assess. This is where technology can really come in and help us. And that's the strides we've been making from even an AI perspective in making sure that we are designing systems that'll allow us to optimize not only the operations, but also the measurement of it in a more quick and efficient way. Responsibility today, has so many aspects as we see the world changing, whether it is being responsible to people in terms of the diversity and ethnicity and population, that we're treating everyone equally. We are addressing all those audiences. So far, media and the world of advertising and marketing has been very biased towards the majority, but that majority is changing. The new majority today is going to be those ethnic populations, diverse people with different skin colors, different choices, not only in terms of the way they live their lives, the way they kind of approach religion, the way they approach their sexual preferences, and making sure we as a media industry or an advertising industry connect and equally treat all those opportunities for every brand is key. The other side of it is also the notion of sustainability and areas such as that. Are we contributing to the world and making it a better place? I think that is the answer of responsibility that we are going after as a company and addressing different facets of it. We are also now engaging in several efforts where we are creating coalitions with brands where we are picking up topics such as sustainability, diversity, and making sure those brands not only change their marketing, but also their overall product approach. So our efforts are going way beyond just media when it comes to responsibility. I'll also say this, that today, consumers expect that from brands. There used to be a day where you could just advertise your product and that was enough, that people would find a need. Today, people expect you as a brand to ensure that you are taking part in the cultural movements that are going on, taking part in where the society is going and where the society needs to go. Even when it comes to things like global warming and elements such as that, they want you to participate along with them and help them make the world a better place. That is what responsible marketing is for us. That's the holy grail we're after.